What's up, sports fans, and welcome to episode 5 of the Sports Opinions podcast. It's pretty weird to be doing these consistently, but I think I finally have a rhythm. Today we have a very special topic. We are counting down quarterbacks in the NFL that have played this year from the absolute worst, guys who probably shouldn't even be there, to the number one stud of the NFL. With me, very special guest, another guy that I've known absolutely forever, Mr. Joseph JT Sizzle, gonna drop a mixtape at some point. Hackett. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Alex? How you doing?
Good. So, yeah, it was up. Actually, this was Joe's idea. He wanted to do the best looking quarterbacks in the NFL. I mistook it as the best looking in terms of play. Joe wanted to actually do the best looking quarterbacks. Joe, do you have a top 5 that you could just give the people right now?
I got a top 3 that I think is going to turn some heads.
All right, let's hear number 3. Who's your number 3 best looking? And we're talking about looks, ladies, men. All women want to be with him. Men want to be him. Who's number 3?
Number 3 is Cam Newton.
Cameron Newton's got that baby face look. What about him you like?
He's got the baby face. He's got the bod. But the thing is, with Cam Newton, that kind of ranks him lower is definitely his ears.
Hey, leave ears alone. I got some big-ass ears, man.
I know, but he's got some box ears.
He's got some box ears. Wow, but what about the fact that he's about to be replaced by the Play 60 kid? That kid is still in the farm. He's somewhere playing Pop Warner football, so he's coming.
If I'm Cam Newton, I'm shaking in my boots right now. That Play 60 kid, he's had, 3 years to marinate?
3 years to marinate. Now, what is your sister? We mentioned her before, Brittany Hackett. Big shout out to Brittany. Big Carolina Panthers fan. What does she think of Cam's replacement in the Play 60 kid?
You know, I think Brittany has 100% of the backing when it comes to the Play 60 kid. The Play 60 kid. the thing is, when I watched the film on the Play 60 kid, very composed. You know, I hear rumors that they only did that commercial in one take.
Oh, that's pretty good. One take. He's got some talent. So there you go. And speaking of Brittany, really quick, she wanted me to remind you, who, like I said, Mr. Mixtape. If people don't know, Joe goes by JT Sizzle. He is an amateur rapper, pretty good. If you follow his Snapchat, what's your Snapchat handle, Joe?
Oh, my Snapchat is Joseph_Hackett.
Joseph_Hackett. Go find him. He puts on some fuego freestyles in there, so go find him. But Brittany wanted me to ask you, when's her song ever coming? She asked for one a while ago.
The song, you know what? I'm working on so much stuff right now. So I got a lot going on. But it's coming. Don't worry. Something's coming. I
Brittany,
just need
you
you
hear
guys
that?
to be patient. Stick with me.
Brittany, I know you listen. He just put you on the back burner. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm just saying, you gotta take off a career before you make a dedication. So.
All right, look at that. Look at the wise words from the man himself.
I got to get off the ground first. You know, I'm kind of crawling right now. I'm learning how to play the piano.
Been crawling since high school here.
Yep, learning how to work Ableton, you know.
Look at this kid.
But let's get back on track here. We're going to go to number 2 best looking quarterback. No argument, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, you have him at number 2 now. A lot of people think the man's got the life. He has, he has the rings. He has the coach that everyone wants. He's on the team. He has one of the best looking women in the planet as his wife. Who the hell has more than him? Everyone knows about Tom. Who's number 1? Give us number 1.
The man who's adapted the TB12 method himself, and that's the best looking man in the NFL to ever put on an NFL uniform besides Brady Quinn, and that is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G!
Jimmy G is the best looking quarterback in the league. I don't care what you say. Chiseled jawline, great 5 o'clock shadow. Kid's a looker.
It's all about that jawline. If you're listening, young boys, if you got that jawline, you got life. I give a shout out to one of my runners, Timmy Johnson. Timmy Johnson had that jawline. Now that we had some fun, Joe, we let you get out your best looking dudes. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. What I conceived that we were going to do, the best actual quarterbacks in terms of play.
we could talk about this. Oh, worst looking, by the way, Ben Roethlisberger. If you see that guy in a bar, you're automatically feeling comfortable.
Well, is it because he's 6'6", 6'7", and a monster?
And he's also not athletic at all. He's got 4 chins.
I mean, he is pretty big. Now, is he Jared Lorenzen? Do you remember Jared Lorenzen, the hefty lefty? Now,
A
is he
hefty
the
lefty.
hefty lefty type of like get out of the way in a bar style, or is it like?
No, it's more of like I think he's gonna follow me to the women's bathroom kind of
And
look.
there's the low blow. Ben, if you ever listen to this, his name's Joe Hackett. He lives in Manchester, New Jersey, goes to Fairleigh Dickinson University.
I'm
You
sure
can
he's
go
a great
find
guy.
him.
I love Big Ben, but come on, you got to do something.
That was early in his career. Colton.
Oh no!
Hold
No, I
your
wasn't
ears,
even
Colton.
making-
Hold your
I
ears.
wasn't even making a reference to what happened. I'm just saying, like he just looks like he'd do that.
Oh, Jesus. All right, well, now let's get to a list that, funny enough, Big Ben's going to be on. We're going to
Yeah.
start off. Now, I did a lot of calculations. I made a list up. There's been 64 guys who have taken a snap and thrown a pass in the NFL this year. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list from 64 to 56. Just going to rattle off the names. David Fowles, Cooper Rush, Joe Webb, Sean Mannion, Jake Rudock, Nathan Peterman, Kellen Clemens, Bryce Petty, Scott Tolzien. This is a group that I like to call the guys that they've thrown a pass before. That's really all about it. Do you have anything to say about any of these guys? They're kind of all either past their prime or just terrible.
Okay, you know what? I got something to say about Cooper Rush. All right, this guy. All right, I did a fantasy draft in Madden.
Oh, God.
Can't remember who my starting quarterback was. Got hurt, done for the season. Brought in the second string. He got hurt, done for the season. I put in Cooper Rush, and he took me to the playoffs. So you know what? He's got that going for him.
Was that who you were scrambling with on Snapchat that one day? Was that Cooper Rush?
Oh, no, that was my someone I drafted.
Oh, God.
His name was Josh Steele. He was 6'5", 250, and he had an 87 speed, and I didn't edit anything about him in an 89 trucking. The guy was an absolute monster.
All right, ready for the bad pun of the podcast? Was he a steal in the draft?
No, not at all. I got him number 3 overall.
Oh, Jesus, he better have been good. All right, so we're moving on. I have nothing to say about those guys. You know, we've seen barely any of them. The guys we have seen, we don't want to see anymore.
Yeah.
Moving on to the list of they're just backups. There's only 5 of them on there, 55 through 51. Kevin Hogan, Derek Anderson, Paxton Lynch, Cody Kessler, C.J. Beathard. The only guy I talk about a little, Derek Anderson. I'm surprised he's still playing in the league. He's on Carolina right now. He's a backup. He had some really good years, played some really good football. But at this point, I think this is the best that he's at. Do you have anything to say about that group?
You know what? I gotta go Cody Kessler for sticking with Cleveland. You know.
Now,
even Kevin Hogan, dude. Both of these guys are powerhouses when it comes to morale, you know. You're going in, you know you're going to lose the game. You're going to get sacked a bunch of times, but you're still going out there.
Now, just notice that within 55 to 51 rankings, we have 2 Cleveland quarterbacks. That says a lot about their franchise.
Oh, 100%. That's an awful franchise.
Yeah, they're in turmoil. It's not good at all. But, you know, these guys are in the NFL. They've thrown a few passes. So, you know, good for them. We're going to move on. We got a lot more guys to get to, a lot more to talk about. This group, you have something,
If
Joe?
I could stop you there real fast, I can't help but notice that Buffalo QB isn't on they've thrown a pass before.
Who?
Oh, no, there he is, Nathan Peterman. My bad.
Oh, yeah, Nathan Peterman. I did my best to make him the worst guy, and because he was absolutely terrible. But then I just looked, and those guys, I know their names because I like the NFL and all, but I had no idea that they threw passes this year. So it's like, you know, at least Nathan Peterman, he's had 49 attempts, 252 yards. He does have the 2 touchdowns. 3 of those picks that he threw were off hands. So it's like, you know, it's a little iffy. His QBR is miserable, but you know, I give him a little more credit, but I think he'll be out of the league pretty darn soon.
Yeah, and he has something that not a lot of people in this world could say. I've thrown 2 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions in the NFL. You know, something to be proud of.
Hey, he could say I played in the NFL. A lot of guys that are in Canada going, damn, I want to be him.
Yeah.
So we're moving on. The next group of guys we like to call the quality backups. These are guys that they're never going to be consistent starters in the NFL, but if a guy gets hurt 2-3 games, they're going to right the ship. You're more than likely going to win more games than you lose with them. Starting off, they're 50 through 41. Starting off with E.J. Manuel, Mike Glennon, Ryan Mallett, Matt Castle, Geno Eugene Smith, Chad Henne, T.J. Yates, Drew Stanton, Brett Hundley, Matt Moore. I know you got a problem with one of those guys, Joe. Go for it.
I got a big problem. Big Geno guy over here. All right,
We're both
he's
Jets
not
fans.
just a quality backup. He could start in the NFL, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, made great decisions in his one start. You know, he had that one touchdown, no interceptions, 2 fumbles, but you guess what? I don't think there's many QBs in the league that are holding on to that ball. All right? Oh, both those balls, both those fumbles. You can't blame on him. He didn't try to do a spin move and bring the ball around his back. He just simply got hit, wrong place, or right place at the wrong time, or however you want to word it.
Wrong place, wrong time, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think you could put Carson Wentz, Big Ben, they would have fumbled that ball too.
Now, the way I look at it and the way I generally comprise this list, Joe looked at it, he went over it himself. You know, he told me the changes he would make. We went with my master list ultimately, but, you know, Joe's going to talk on his points. What I did when I made this list, I looked at a few factors. One, how they played this year, if they've played, and obviously these guys have all thrown a pass. Mm-hmm. 2, I did count their history of their whole career.
Okay.
And the third way that I did it was I looked at the guys in front and the guys in back, and who would I rather put the football in their hands. And I look behind Geno Smith, Matt Castle, Ryan Mallett, Mike Glennon, E.J. Manuel. I think Geno's a lot better than all those guys. He has great tools, a great arm, he's athletic. Look at the guys in front of him. Chad Henne, he's had success in the NFL. T.J. Yates has played pretty well. Drew Stanton is currently playing decent in Carson Palmer's stead. Brett Hundley has done a hell of a job as a rookie playing for Aaron Rodgers. And Matt Moore, we've seen Matt Moore play up close and personal against the Jets. He's been a Jet killer. He's not bad. So for me, the guys I put in front, and looking at Geno's history, yeah, these 2 fumbles might not have been his fault, but how many did he have at his Jet tenure that were just because he didn't call out an obvious blitz at the line that an NFL quarterback needs to see?
100%. When we've taken the entire history into account, I think you have him ranked right. But the way I was thinking is like this year, the mature man that he's grown into. And the thing is, I'd put him above Brock Osweiler because Brock Osweiler is an actual trash can.
All right, but Brock Osweiler, he did have that one insane game.
The one insane game, okay. But Geno, look at his completion percentage in the one game he played.
Okay.
And his touchdown to interception ratio is phenomenal. I'll take 1 touchdown, zero interceptions any week.
This may be my Jets trauma and bias that I had from watching Geno Smith play quarterback, but I would rather put Brock back there because maybe it's because I know what Geno is. I've seen Geno play. I know what Geno is. I haven't seen that much of Brock, and if there's any Broncos fans listening, they might be screaming at the podcast right now thinking I'm an idiot, and I might be. But, as you guys are going to find out, and you'll hear soon, I have Brock ahead of Geno. And I think that's a pretty damn good transition.
But you see, well, hold on. Let me just go back to Geno.
Isn't. For Joe, it isn't.
The one thing that I've realized about Geno, he's made one key change, okay, that I've noticed right when he walked onto the field. He's wearing an arm sleeve.
Arm sleeve is a big deal.
The arm sleeve is a power move, okay, and he's making a statement with it. All right? That's why he's a better quarterback than he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Arm sleeves are a absolute big deal. And, before we even go on, I want to give some honorable mentions to some people that you're not going to see on this list. First off, Mr. Brett Favre. Always in line to make a comeback. Yeah. Brett Favre definitely deserves an honorable mention. I'm going to throw out some Johnny Manziel. Johnny Football.
Throwing up the cash money. You know what it is. John JM squared. Manziel living. Johnny Manziel,
definitely an honorable mention. Your boy, our favorite player, the original kneeler, Tim Tebow.
Boom. I'm
giving it up to him. And also, I think the icing on the cake, Mr. Robert Griffin III, looking dapper on ESPN lately. But, I got to give it up to him. The guy, if he didn't get hurt, he had something. A word to the wise for all you very mobile, athletic, running quarterbacks coming out of college. Look at RG3. Don't run a lot.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I'd like to give a special shout out to my main man. We're really close buds, Baker Mayfield. Can't wait till you're a Jet. You know what it is. That's my favorite quarterback coming out of college.
Now, you say really close buds. Have you ever even had any sort of acknowledgement besides you talking to him on the screen on Saturdays?
I've tweeted at him once,
Oh, man. But all right, now let's move on. This is the next list. Like Joe said, there's certain players that could start in the NFL, and you'll hear some of these names. Some of these guys are current starters in the NFL, but even though there's 32 starters, I think a lot of football fans know that not all 32 players deserve to actually start. So these are guys that could start in the NFL. I'm going to go we go from 40 to 26 on here. I'm going to go guy by guy. Joe, you stop me if you want to say something in between about any of these guys. So sitting at number 40, we have Blaine Gabbert playing for the Cardinals this year. Saw some action, nothing really special, but he has shown flashes that he could start if he has to.
I'm a big Blaine Gabbert guy. I liked it when he had the luscious locks, The
locks are very nice to have.
Great, yeah, he's great, but he's sneaky athletic. He's a quick guy.
He does have a little bit of quickness to him that you don't see it because he's like 6'7", 6'6", has a really tall build, but he definitely has some length to that stride. Next guy,
number 7 with pride.
Big tall dude as well, number 39. We just talked about him, Brock Osweiler. And I'll couple it with number 38, his teammate, Trevor Siemian, who both of them battle for playing time in Denver, with Siemian winning most of it. Anything with both of these two, they obviously can start in the NFL, but neither of them have showed that they can stay starters.
I think they're both terrible, and they're backups.
All right, so Joe thinks I have them way too high.
And Brock Osweiler is an actual trash can.
And there we go, Joe sharing his opinion strongly.
He is a 7-foot trash can.
So moving on to number 37, a guy Joe and I know really well, Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick, playing for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Saw some playing time. Killed our Jets this year. How do you feel about Fitzy and the beard?
One of the grittiest players in the NFL. And if there's one thing I look for in a player is grit. You know?
Now, did he do us dirty in the second year where he just came back and he was nothing like he was the first year?
You see, I don't think it was necessarily he wasn't anything like it. He wasn't getting the protection the second year. Yeah, he was kind of awful. But you know what? He always brought that grit with him. Always took 2 guys to bring him down. And always extended plays. He's not an athlete, but I don't know how he gets out of some of the stuff he does.
He's a Harvard grad. That's how. He's a freaking genius.
He finds a way. He's doing math in his head.
He is just a smart dude. Shout out to Harvard grads and all the Ivy League dudes playing ball. Not many of them.
They said that he took this test. It's like a 10-question test. He finished it in a record time. And he only got one question halfway wrong.
That's not surprising at all.
Guy's ridiculous.
Next guy up, number 36 on the list, Pride of Rutgers, who I don't think ever played a down of Rutgers. Probably the best quarterback to come out of there. Transferred to Pitt, Mr. Tom Savage. Houston quarterback, has seen a lot of playing time since the fall of Deshaun Watson. I think Tom Savage has done decently over there to right the ship, but could, like I said, could start in the NFL, but probably won't after this year.
He's not Deshaun Watson, but the one thing I liked, I was looking at his college film a lot when he was coming out of college. He fit a lot of balls in some tight spaces. A lot of these quarterbacks coming out, they got the highlight films that throw to wide open guys. I don't look for that. Anyone should make that throw. You bring out the highlight. I want to see those tight windows. You fitting it in the red zone.
Yeah, well, that was like guys like Johnny Manziel, and even I love Timmy Tebow, but Tim Tebow, his highlights consisted of him doing a jump pass at the goal line, running people over. Yeah. Very little tight window fits. Johnny Manziel throwing it to wide open Mike Evans down the field after he runs around for 30 seconds. I agree with you. The tight window throws that you see certain guys make are the ones that you want to see, and a guy that can fit into tight windows played at Michigan State, number 35, Brian Hoyer, back up in New England. He's sitting behind Tom Brady, but the guy can ball. I like Brian Hoyer.
He could ball, but isn't he bald?
He is
be a
bald.
Quarterback can be bald, dude.
Hey, Matty Hasselbeck was a stud, and that man was bald since Sean Alexander.
Yeah, we want the ball and we're gonna score. How'd that work out for him?
Listen, they could have. That offense was a hell of an offense.
If he had some luscious locks, kid would be a Super Bowl champ.
I mean, Tommy Terrific goes from having locks to not locks, so you never know.
The hair's still there, though.
The hair is still there.
It doesn't look like Dr. Eggman.
Speaking of hair, not that much, but A.J. McCarron, he's got some. He's sitting at number 34 on the list, back up in Cincinnati. He's a guy a lot of people feel that probably could definitely start and be the future of a team. I don't know if Cincinnati's holding on to him, waiting for Andy Dalton to falter, but I actually am a fan of A.J. McCarron. What do you feel about him?
Big A.J. McCarron guy. I'm also a big Andy Dalton guy. So I think they're basically the same quarterback, just one has red hair.
Well, that's good for Cincy fans because if Andy Dalton goes down, they get probably another 8 years of consistent play.
Exactly.
So sitting at number 33, Cleveland's final quarterback on the list, their current starter, rookie DeShone Kizer, who is starting to come around, and he's starting to find Josh Gordon, who's back. Thank you. Still doing your thing on the comeback, Josh Gordon. I will shout you out every week.
Big Josh Gordon guy.
Shout you out every week. And he's finding Chris Coleman. I think his name Corey Coleman. Also on the other side, he has Duke Johnson Jr. having a big year that no one's noticing, really coming out in that backfield. So I think DeShone Kizer is slowly starting to develop, which is why I have him so high on this list. I feel like he'll eventually make the next tier if he continues to develop.
Know, dude. You saw his first half last week against the Ravens. Dude, he had negative 12 yards. I don't know how that's possible. Like 2 completions and a pick 6. That's rough, dude.
Now, mind you,
it's one game. We're not judging him off one game, but that's rough.
He lost the best left tackle in the NFL earlier this year.
Yeah, and while we're on the Browns, Isaiah Crowell? What's up with him?
Duke Johnson's come out, Isaiah Crowell faltered, and that's the nature of the NFL.
But the problem is, I picked him up in fantasy during the draft. I was expecting a big year out of him. Got a Jerick McKinnon, though. Right the ship.
Well, what have you learned? If his name isn't Josh Gordon, don't pick him from Cleveland.
Yeah, I guess you're right. 100%.
And so moving on to number 32, Mr. Carson Palmer, Arizona quarterback, currently injured. I think his best years are behind him, and I think his time
100%.
Of being a starter probably done after this year, if not next year.
Yeah, Heisman guy.
So, good player, probably one of the best West Coast quarterbacks we've had since John Elway. Mm-hmm. But I don't have much more to say about Carson. Carson's been great in the NFL, has led some of the best offenses in the league, but I think his time is done.
Yeah, I think his career is almost over. But the thing is, I wouldn't put him in this tier. I'd put him in the tier under now, just because I haven't seen him play in 5, 7, 13 weeks.
Like I said, I give him the benefit of the doubt, and I did take into account what they've done in the past. So for me, he's still a guy that could start because you'll pick that veteran to do a patchwork. Hey, he might end up on the Jets next year if they let him go as another Band-Aid. You never know.
You never know.
And moving on from guys who were supposed to be Band-Aids but kind of surprised everyone, Jacoby Brissett, sitting at number 31 for Indianapolis Colts. He came in early in the year to help out with Andrew Luck, who we have no idea if he's coming back to football.
He's not going to throw a pass ever again, apparently. That's what I hear.
Which is sad. Because
that is a great quarterback, and you know what? It's a shame. I hope he comes back. If Teddy could come back, I think he could come back.
I agree, but you know what? And I gotta give Indy kudos. The GM, I don't know his name, didn't do my research there, but he did come out and he said they're not putting Andrew Luck on the field till he's 100% healthy. And he said flat out, what they did to him is unfair. And the fact that they could have ended this kid's career, he's taking responsibility, which you don't see in pro sports often. So I give big credit to the Indianapolis Colts organization for, realizing what's happening with this kid and, really letting him just have a future in walking and living correctly. And instead of, he's made some money, so he's not going to be poor. But it's just sad that in a selfish way, we don't get to see Andrew Luck play possibly ever again.
You got to make sure you could put the spoon in his mouth, He's got to be
absolutely.
able to feed himself. But you know what? If being a quarterback doesn't work out in the future, he's definitely going to have a coaching job.
Absolutely. The guy's mind is like no one else. People have said he was on Peyton Manning level. You saw glimpses of it with certain plays that he did.
Head coach Andrew Luck, I'm telling you, it's coming.
That would be a beautiful thing. Moving on with the list, number 30, rookie quarterback from Chicago, Mr. Mitch Trubisky, number 1 pick.
Cracks the top 5 of best-looking QBs in the game right now.
He is a solid-looking kid.
Yeah, stud. He could sling it. His accuracy is like a hit or miss kind of thing. But the thing is, if I could compare him to anyone, it's last year's Jared Goff. So I'm expecting a big improvement from when it comes to next year. But this year is kind of like a wash for the Bears. But that defense needs a little bit of work, and so does that offense. But they're going to be a solid team.
They are, but they need a little more around them. I think they got a good running back situation with Howard, but Kevin White can't stay healthy. I have no idea who the other wide receivers are, really.
They have Victor Cruz, right?
Do they still? I thought Victor Cruz got released.
I think never mind. I think they were released. I don't know where that guy is.
Yeah, I'm going to take a second to really look at this depth chart because I'm now curious to see if Mitch Trubisky is playing decent ball with no one. Because
honest, I don't think White is on the team anymore.
Let's see. They have Kendall Wright, who's not bad. He's a little washed up, but he's not bad.
Yeah, he was a Patriot, right?
Yeah, Kendall Wright was a Titan.
Titan, that's what it was.
They have Marcus Wheaton, former Steeler. They have Joshua Bellamy, who I have no idea who that is, and Dontrell Inman, who I have heard of. But I think Kevin White's hurt, so he's doing this. I think they
released him, dude.
Did they release Kevin White?
I think they did in the offseason because I remember reading that, I think, and I was like, wow, they released him. What an awful pick.
Wow, if that's
the case. He was in the draft with Cooper, Amari Cooper.
Wow. Well, and that just goes to show I'm actually pretty damn happy where I ranked them then because...
Yeah, you know what? That kid's... Hey, and then they had that fourth and 19 or 4th and 9 or whatever. Kid ran 13 yards. You can't make that up.
Oh, no, I just looked it up. Right. Kevin White is on the IR, so they still have him.
All right.
He's on the IR. He was a big factor, but that's the problem. He's been on the IR first 2 years of his career.
I was about to say, I don't think he's ever completed a season.
So, yeah, Mitch Trubisky, I think the Jared Goff comparison's a really, really good one. That's, he's showing a lot of flashes of talent. If they give him some talent around him, I think he could sling the ball around, and the Bears might be something again.
I hope so. They should have never fired Lovey.
Yeah, well, it's tough because he wasn't getting them there.
10-6, you don't fire a guy after they don't make the playoffs at 10-6.
I think it was more of just the whole entire package. They were there. Yeah. He was in the Marvin Lewis situation. Granted, the Bengals are doing worse, but they only got so far with Marvin. They're only getting so far with Marvin Lewis. They only got so far with Lovey. Mm-hmm. And there was a hump that maybe a new voice was needed. That's how they felt.
They brought in Tressman. How'd that work out?
I mean, the new voice isn't always well, but... But
there wasn't anyone on the market. You got to stick with the Lovey, the legend.
Going on, number 29, Nick Foles, Philadelphia, brought in to Carson Wentz, replace him because Carson Wentz is now out for the season, injured. Nick Foles has had a crazy career, had a really good time, started for Chip Kelly when he was with Philadelphia, made some really good plays, was, I think, the most accurate quarterback in the NFL that year, had a ridiculous touchdown-interception ratio, goes to St. Louis under Jeff Fisher, nothing good happens under Jeff Fisher. His career, everyone thought was in the crapper, goes back to Philly as a backup.
He thought it was in the crapper.
He definitely did.
He was retired before he got the call.
And now he's back with Philly. He just had a 4-touchdown game, and he's seemingly back. And I think that, I wasn't going to put him in the quality starters, but he's definitely a guy that could start in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I see these memes. I see people talking on the internet. Oh, the Eagles have no shot. The Eagles are done without Carson Wentz. Their Super Bowl hopes are gone. Hello, they got this one guy named Nick Foles. He's slinging the rock. He had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, and and he's definitely has a favorable matchup this week against the Raiders. I think Philly's gonna.
The Raiders, and then he had the Giants. You get this kid into a groove. It's all about streaks in the NFL. When you hit that streak, and it's best to hit the streak at the end of the season, take it into the playoffs.
Giants know all about that. They won 2 Super Bowls off of being hot.
Exactly.
And and with Foles,
closing guys and throwing the ball up in the air.
And with Foles, he's not as athletic as Wentz, but he does have the arm talent. So
he's not as athletic, but that kid could sling the rock, dude.
We got some big Eagles fans in our friends group that are, listen to us, Mr. Kyle Burns, John Natoli, Michael Sullivan.
All listening to this right now, you have nothing to fear. Nick Foles is here, and he's not going to leave you guys.
There you go, and that's a good transition into number 28, Mr. Jameis Winston, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I think some fans are hoping that he leaves soon. He's hasn't been the guy that everyone thought he was gonna be, and I'm a huge Jameis Winston fan. I'm a Florida State guy.
I love Jameis Winston. I love the mentality. I love the Jameis mentality. But the thing is, I said it coming out of college. I don't think he's NFL caliber. I hope he proves me wrong. I think he's a great guy. He eats W's, you know. That's all I have to say about Jameis. But I really hope he can turn his career around. I mean, did he have a decent game against the Falcons? I missed the game. I was driving home.
He played well. It was 24-21. You know, he was. I think he was his typical 2 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Yeah. So it was like, you know, that's what he does. He takes chances. Yeah. And it was interesting. I was actually listening to sports radio today. I can't even remember. I think it was ESPN radio with the Ryan Russillo show. And they were talking about Jameis and how he's probably Tampa Bay is probably the biggest disappointment in the NFL this year. And I put them right next to Oakland. Them and Oakland are the 2 biggest disappointments.
A lot of that has to go. I believe, wasn't Mike Evans injured at the beginning of the year, and then he got the suspension for the Jet game, which they won, but.
He was, but it has to do, you know, and they gave a big, you know, they said it perfectly. Jameis Winston, from within 15 yards, is one of the most accurate guys 15 yards in.
Oh, yeah.
He's not a great deep ball thrower. He wasn't in Florida State, and he's not in the NFL. And you have guys in Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson who are big-time, big-play guys. You need to be able to throw the deep ball. Yeah. And Jameis isn't a great deep ball thrower. If he could develop that, that'll be great.
Oh, yeah. He's a young guy. Don't give up on him yet, Tampa. Come on.
I don't, but I think a West Coast system would fit him really well. I don't know if Dirk Cutter's system is the best for him in Tampa.
Take him in New York, then.
I would love to have Jameis. I would have his jersey in a heartbeat.
Oh, 100%. I'll rock that number 3.
And coming on to a guy who's now looks like he's fighting for his job as a starter with the rumors of Eli coming to take the man's job at 27. Blake Bortles is put to back to back ridiculously good games.
You move this man up the list right now. He's catching fire at the right time. Watch out for the Jaguars, everybody. They're coming.
I won't do it yet. I won't do it yet because you know what? That's 3 games in a 16-game season and not including the playoffs. Before this, Blake Bortles has looked like one of the most mediocre guys. He was the definition of a game manager. Something has clicked, and I love it, and I need to see more. Right now, I will keep him at 27, but I like what I'm seeing out of Blake.
He's playing like the guy they wanted to draft, so I hope he keeps it up. Big Jacksonville guy over here. I mean, I'm a Jets fan, but Jets are out of the playoffs. If I had to root for a team right now in the playoffs, definitely be Jacksonville. I'm thinking Jacksonville Eagles, maybe a Steelers Eagles. I don't know. The NFL's crazy right now. Saints are up there. Vikings, can't forget them. So it's going to be crazy.
I do like Jacksonville as well, and I think it might be ingrained being a Jets fan of our generation. We love great defense. We've seen great defense a lot. Jacksonville's defense is ridiculous, and they're so fun to watch. So I'm definitely rooting for Jacksonville as well with the Jets being. I'm rooting for a few teams. I don't care as much. I just want to see some teams have success.
I want to see good games. I want to see everyone have a good game. I want to see everyone succeed. I don't want fans being like, oh, we got blown out and humiliated. I want to say, hey, you know what? We stood in the game. We fought, and it was a good game. That's what I want to see this playoffs.
Speaking of guys I thought would have more success, but isn't, number 26, guy that rounds out could start in the NFL because I don't think he can anymore, Jay Cutler. To me, he's completely regressed in Miami. He's shown flashes of old Jay Cutler where he's throwing it around the yard with that great arm that he has. But there's just way too many stinkers in there that, for me, just put Jay down in that could start in the NFL tier because once Ryan Tannehill comes back, Jay Cutler's going back to the booth.
All right, I'll agree with that statement when Ryan Tannehill comes back. But number one, the NFL needs to rethink the Pro Bowl because there's not one guy that I didn't talk to that didn't vote Jay Cutler into the Pro Bowl. He should have got it. Oh, my God. NFL kept him out. I voted him in, and you know what? NFL # recount 2017.
For what? Why did you vote Jay Cutler in?
I voted Jay Cutler into the Pro Bowl because he simply has the championship mentality. If I don't care, I'm a champion, Smoky Jay.
Oh my God.
How many teams beat the Patriots? You tell me right now. And then you know who led that team? You know who led that offense? Smoking Jay.
Oh my God. You're gonna talk. Dear, listen. Jay Cutler, he's not mad. He gets to go home to Kristen Cavallari every single day, who's absolutely gorgeous. So that's why that guy doesn't have a care in the world.
Yeah.
So moving on from.
Wait, did you hear the story about how he proposed to her?
What did he just throw a ring at her and have someone intercept it, and then he asked her?
He was away. I think he texted her or called her, and then he FedExed her the ring.
He's just an OG. You know what? I take that back. Everyone vote that man in the Pro Bowl.
Exactly.
That guy needs to get
in.
in.
The freaking Pro Bowl.
He doesn't get. I can't wait for him to actually go in the booth because he's going to sit there and his commentary is going to be like the opposite of Tony Romo. Jay, what do you see?
I mean, think they're going to run the ball. They're going to throw a 50-yard bomb.
Not even. They're going to be. Jay, what did you see? I mean, I saw a bunch of guys on the other side. I didn't care. I was going to complete it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, he's just going to be like a ball of putty just there doing commentary.
Yeah, I remember my day as quarterback. I looked at the safety and threw the ball at the linebacker.
I knew that the safety where he was currently standing was where my receiver was supposed to be. I was going to throw it there, and I didn't care.
My second read, I didn't care about it, so I didn't think to learn it.
Oh, my God, Jerry Cutler, what you could have been. The Brett Favre comparisons were insane when he came out.
Brett Favre comparison.
No, there is none. Brett Favre, at least he would have 4 touchdowns for every interception.
Yeah, Brett Favre was a pick machine, so is Jay Cutler, which is why he's Pro Bowl.
Hey, yeah. I watched the greatest game I ever witnessed in my life was Brett Favre the day after his dad died on Monday Night Football.
Oh, my God. I watch that every now and then just to get teared up a little.
My God, just the way he came out and played, and that's just, the magic of sports was on display, that a guy that went through so much, and that was earlier this year. I forget who the wide receiver was. Was it Michael Godwin?
No, it was Marquise Goodwin.
Marquise Goodwin.
My heart goes out to him. If you don't know, he had his baby was born like early, and it passed away. And he came out, he had a game, 49ers won. And then this week, I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, his dad passed away the week before this game. My heart goes out to you, Marquise Goodwin. If you're probably never going to hear this, but I hope you do. If you need anything, you hit me up.
Yeah, my heart goes out to you as well. Sports opinions in general, we go out to you, Marquise. And the story of Marquise Goodwin is actually close to me because this guy is one of the fastest men on the planet.
Oh, yeah. He's the one who burnt Revis. He ran 25 miles per hour. He could have gotten pulled over in the Six Flags parking lot. Six Flags parking lot is 12 miles per hour. He could have gotten pulled over for a run.
Well, even the guy's Olympic caliber. He raced at the Olympic trials in the sprints, and he was on, I believe, one of the 4x1 teams on Worlds. So the guy is legitimately, and you don't see too many sprinters besides like him and Rocket Ismail that actually make it in the NFL. And this guy's a truly talented wide receiver. I am so happy he has a legitimate quarterback in Jimmy G throwing to him. Not to hurt C.J. Beathard. That guy did his thing. He was a rookie. He battled.
He balling out, yeah.
But, I'm Marquise Goodwin. I know we're a little off topic, but, heart goes out to you. Keep balling. Keep doing you. I hope for no more tragedies going on with you, man. All right. On to a higher note, a better note now. Back to the podcast itself. Moving on to our next category of quality starters, which encompasses number 25 to 16 on the list. I'm going to start with 25, a guy who's had a ridiculous season, but not in terms of the way you guys would think. Tyrod Taylor, Buffalo Bills. He was the starter, was benched for one of the worst guys in the NFL because Buffalo this year has been a mess. They at first wanted to tank, then they played okay and they didn't want to tank, then they wanted to tank, and now they're trying not to tank again. Tyrod's back in the starting group. I've never been a huge Tyrod guy, but he's a quality starter in the NFL. His numbers show it.
I'm a big Tyrod Taylor guy, and he's top 10 good-looking QBs in the league.
I think that's 5 now. He's gotten 5 in the top 10.
He could sling it. He could really spin the ball. He's got a lot of arm strength. Fast kid. Love the grit, the tenacity to extend the play, get in the end zone. He's got a nose for the end zone, and You definitely, yeah, he's definitely should be in this tier, the quality starters. I'd take him in a heartbeat.
Now, Jets fans know about him. A lot of Jets fans that I've talked to really would be happy if he was wearing green and white next year. How about you?
100%. I would love to see Tyrod Taylor in green and white.
Now, other spots that he might land, if not in Buffalo, where do you think? Do you think he's a fit in Denver? Do you think he's a fit in Indy to go compete with Jacoby Brissett?
Okay.
Where would you, if he's not in Buffalo, because I don't know if he wants to be back in Buffalo with the way he's been treated.
100%.
Where do you think he goes?
It could go a bunch of ways.
Is he going to the other New York team, the Giants?
I think he could go to the Giants. All right. I think he could go to Denver, but we're gonna see what happens with the draft first. But a place that I think he could go, and he won't play, but I could see him going, is back to Baltimore. I could see him settling for a backup job somewhere. He's a starting caliber kind of guy, but a lot of people seem to have their starter. I could see him going to the Eagles.
See, I don't know if he takes a backup role at this point. He's played good enough football where I think that he knows he can lead a team.
Yeah, if the offer's there, he's definitely going to go for that starting, where he could start. But I don't know if there's many teams out there that's going to make that call.
Is he smart enough?
I'd love to see him green and white. So, Mike McCagnon, if you're listening to me, you try and get Tyrod Taylor. He's a quality guy, but make sure you get Baker too in the draft. Baker. Kid's a party animal.
There you go, Joe. Just always lobbying for his Jets. Going on to 24, a guy who's had high expectations, and barring injuries, he has played pretty damn well. This year hasn't been his greatest, but he has the Titans in playoff contention. Mr. Marcus Mariota, who I think definitely could be in that top 10 of best-looking quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, Hawaiian. If Hawaiian's there, he's going to be in the top 10.
He's got it going.
Going back to the past few weeks have been rough for him. But
yeah, what they score 9 points against Arizona or something? It was bad one of the weeks.
Yeah, but if you look at his season as a whole, he's a very solid QB. Very athletic. He could extend plays. I think he's got a bright future. Whether it's going to be with Tennessee, I don't know, but they don't have any other option. So
definitely not, and that slides right in. You mentioned the guy sitting at 23 right now, and I might get a lot of pushback for this, but he's not elite, and I hate that word. Mr. Joe Flacco, Baltimore Ravens quarterback, Super Bowl champion, but he's sitting at 23 because he just doesn't do it for me in the regular season. He's a great deep ball thrower. Everything else is just kind of meh. He's just a really big dude that takes hits well.
Yeah, but you know what they say. You can't spell elite without Joe Flacco. All right? He's, like you said, he's a great deep ball thrower, but I feel like he's a field general. But he's just clutch, dude. You can never count this guy out. I'm not going to compare him to Tom Brady because you could literally never count Tom Brady out. You could be up 32 points with 30 seconds left, and I'm shaking in my boots. But when it comes to Joe Flacco, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Madden's doing him wrong at a 76 overall. I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with the 76. I think mid-80s, but still, yeah. I've never been a huge Joe Flacco guy. Even when he won, he had one of the best postseasons in the history of postseasons. But that's about
8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
That's the biggest part of his resume. That.
Oh yeah, I know, but you get this guy in the playoffs and he's going to perform. Yeah, I understand. You can say what you want about the postseason, but like that, it doesn't matter because you got to get there first. I understand that, but if there's one quarterback you could have in the postseason that's not Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, it's Joe Flacco's up there.
Can't really argue that. So since I can't, we're going to move on to 22. Derek Carr, Oakland quarterback, having a subpar year this year in terms of the standard he set last year, but the potential to be great is there. He showed some passes that have been unbelievable. I think this year is a combination of the defense being terrible, feels a lot of pressure to score every time he touches the ball, and Cooper and Crabtree have been disappointing.
And Marshawn Lynch hasn't the past few weeks he's been putting up touchdowns, but for the most part the entire season he's been pretty disappointing getting suspended.
Absolutely. Letting go of Latavius Murray was one of the biggest mistakes they've made.
100%.
So we're going to go with the two quarterbacks in the next, number 22, 21 and 22 in this order, which definitely debatable for a lot of people. Eli Manning, and then I have Josh McCown ahead of him. Now, we're probably going to get a lot of flack, and we're going to agree because we're Jets fans. Giants fans are going to hate this. I put Eli at 21. Yeah, he's 2 Super Bowl champion. He's done great in the playoffs. But the guy has had, I think, 320 interception seasons. And he's been very good. I would never say Eli Manning was amazing or great. He's had a few years where you could put him in the top 15, but he's a quality starter. You look at Josh McCown. Josh McCown is a guy, he's a journeyman, been on a million teams. But barring injury, this guy would stick on a few teams and be a starter for years. He's had some great starts to his career, including the one for the Jets. Do you think I got it right putting McCown ahead of Manning?
100%. Especially if we're going off the year. Giants, not what everyone thought they were going to be. And the Jets, I'm happy to say it. They surprised a lot of people. They hung in there with a lot of tough teams, and a lot of it is because of Josh McCown, and a lot of it's because of the defense too. But a lot of it falls on Josh McCown's shoulders, and you know what? He took the starting job, and I was skeptical at first. I was like, I'll play the younger guys, but after I saw him connect with Robbie Anderson in the first preseason game on the first drive, I was like, you know what? This is the guy. This is the starter for this year.
Now we're going to go a little bit rapid fire. I'm going to get through these next 4 so we can get on to our top 15. These round out the quality starters group. Number 19, Matt Ryan of Atlanta. Number 18, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mr. Jimmy G of San Francisco.
Haven't seen enough of him yet.
17, Dak Prescott, Dallas. And 16, Alex Smith, Kansas City. You said you haven't seen enough of Jimmy G. We'll talk about him. You don't like how high I have him?
No. I like where you have him. We just haven't seen enough. I want to put him in the field generals up there in the next category, but you know what? He's started 7 games, and then I'm not a Dak Prescott guy. I'm really not. He'll be a solid quarterback, but I'll keep him there, a quality starter.
I just think you can't argue that success, and with Dak has had a lot of success. With Jimmy Garoppolo, I've just watched him play, and he just has it. He looks like a more athletic version of Tom Brady when he's decision-making.
Yeah, 100%.
And, that's why...
He's going to have the next Giselle.
But that's why I put him so high. I don't think he's married. I don't think so.
I thought... I don't know. I think Ryan Greenhouse. Shout out Ryan Greenhouse said he was married.
Ryan Greenhouse. I don't think we've ever met Ryan Greenhouse, but I've heard a lot about you.
Yeah, great guy. Just turned 21st birthday today. He got really messed up.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Ryan.
Happy birthday, Ryan. You probably don't even listen to the podcast.
He will after I told him I shout him out.
There you go. He's going to have to wait a while, too. He's going to have to wait till...
I'm not going to tell him where.
Going to have to wait till minute 55 to get there. And just, speaking on Matt Ryan, Alex Smith, Matt Ryan has had a disappointing season. He's battled through injuries in his career, and he's been up and down, so that's why I keep him out of the next category. And Alex Smith is right where he belongs. Not great, not terrible, right on the brink of being really, really good.
Yep, 100%.
That moves us on to our next group, the field generals, who I'm going to go a little more rapid than before because I want to talk about our top 5. We're going to go with the first 5 in this group, number 15 through 11. 15, Case Keenum. 14, Sam Bradford. 13, Deshaun Watson. 12, Andy Dalton. 11, Drew Brees. Any guys stand out for you there?
Deshaun Watson, dude. This guy, he's coming in. He's slinging the rock. He could spin it. He could run it. He could do everything. He's a triple threat QB.
I agree with you. I love Deshaun Watson, and I'm gonna, just make a comment on.
This guy's a rookie.
He's great, and he has a lot of greatness ahead of him as long as he could stay healthy. I'm just gonna throw in there for the listeners: Sam Bradford, Case Keenum, sitting 14-15, both Minnesota quarterbacks. Sam Bradford I put there because going from last year and even starting this year, the guy was going to be a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, 100%.
Unbelievable.
Case Keenum's doing great. great too.
And, Case Keenum's earned that right. He's had some good spot starts as a quality backup, and he's finally showing this year that he can be the guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now moving on.
That's going to be an interesting situation, what they're going to do with Sam Bradford and Case Keenum.
And Teddy Bridgewater.
And Teddy. Teddy came out. Shout out Teddy.
Shout out Teddy. Now do you think
those reps?
Bradford, I think, is definitely the odd man out with that salary. I think he's owed a lot of money, so they're going to try and trade him.
Yeah.
Do you keep one between Teddy and Keenum as a backup, or do they both demand to be starters and you have to get rid of one?
I don't think these two guys, Teddy and Keenum, are the guys that will demand to be starters. They're gonna fight. They're gonna battle. I mean, they might ask for a trade. I think they're both very quality guys, but I'm afraid seeing Teddy out there. The injury he had, and I'm happy he played a little bit, but I wouldn't play him too much. I'd give him like a year, an off season. So I'd like to see him be a backup for a year for the Vikings before he looks elsewhere.
I couldn't agree with that more, and that's an honorable mention for Mr. Teddy Bridgewater as well. He's a real honorable mention because he would be probably sitting in the quality starters, definitely, maybe field generals.
100%. I love it how he wears the two gloves all season long.
Oh, yeah, he's a beast. But moving on to our top 10 now, still in the field generals category. Starting with number 10, Matt Stafford, Detroit Lions. Number 9, Kirk Cousins, Washington Redskins. Number 8, Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks. Number 7, Phillip Rivers, Los Angeles Chargers. Still feels weird saying Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Number 6, Big Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh, who definitely I'm going to get flack for leaving him out of the top 5. But out of these 5, who's your guy that really stands out to you?
Out of these 5, it's tough because Russell Wilson was putting on an MVP season. But you got Matt Stafford, I think, is really underrated. Drew Brees is having a hell of a year. Big Ben, great year. But the next 5 guys we're going to talk about wouldn't have thrown a pick on the last play of the game.
And that is absolutely true. We're going to start off. We're going to give them all a few times. We're going to go number 5. Mm-hmm. We said him once already, Mr. Jared Goff, quarterback, Los Angeles Rams. Had a tough year last year. People question whether or not he's the guy in L.A. This year, nothing but shut everyone up. He has the Rams in great position and do damage in the playoffs. What do you like about Goff?
What do I like about Goff? I like the one receiver he's throwing to Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp,
I'm going to argue is behind Juju is the number 2 receiver, rookie receiver in the NFL right now, and he's just got consistent hands. I think he has 1 or 2 drop balls. Jared Goff's delivering the ball perfect, and his poise in the pocket. O-line's giving him a lot of time. There's just a lot of good things in that Rams team, and I actually have a song that I wrote about Cooper Kupp. It's like not a tribute to Cooper Kupp, but like it references him.
You gonna give us a verse? Is it a song or is it a rap?
It's a rap.
Do you have it in front of you? You gonna give us a verse?
I mean, if you want me to.
Quickly, we're running a long time. Let's get a verse.
There's a little chorus, and then it gets into the rap, and then I go, "You never thought I wouldn't be in the league before this. I'm schooling rappers as faking actors and painting portraits. Renaissance kid, you know I'm gonna make a fortune. And when I get it, I spend it all like I'm Clinton Portis." That's just a little bit of it. You know, Clinton Portis, he blew all his money.
I do like it. I like it.
I mean, that wasn't the flow I used. I have to get the beat, but hey.
I got it. Everyone look out for the mixtape. It'll be coming within the next 10 to 15 years. But, I was just looking at, Jared Goff, at the team that he has to throw to. We can't not mention that Todd Gurley's running behind him, and Todd Gurley is an absolute man-child running the football.
Oh, yeah, Gurley, top 5, top 3 running backs.
But you have Robert Woods and Sammy Watkins, both from Buffalo. I've always been high on Robert Woods. I think he's an underrated receiver. Tavon Austin, Cooper Kupp, like those 4 guys alone start on so many teams.
Yeah.
So he has a great group of weapons back there.
Mm-hmm. The only place I see the Rams really going wrong is not using Tavon Austin on special teams.
But they're doing something right, so I'm not going to doubt them.
Yeah. No, that's legit the only criticism I have of the Rams is they don't use Tavon Austin on special teams.
And that's not a big one. So we're going to couple these next 2 together because we had a discrepancy with this one.
Mm-hmm.
I have Carson Wentz, Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, sitting at number 4. And at number 3, I have Cam, pretty babyface Newton, Carolina quarterback, sitting at number 3. You would flip them. Why?
I've seen Carson had a more consistent season, has led his team to a better record. As you can see, threw the ball about 40 more times more than him and still has more completions. 33 touchdowns compared to Cam Newton's 17. 12 interceptions Cam Newton's thrown. Wentz only threw 7. QBR better than Cam's. I mean, I'm a big Cam guy. He's my favorite QB in the league, but Carson Wentz has outperformed him, I think. I think he's outperformed most of the QBs, including Aaron Rodgers, because of his injury.
Yeah, you look at it and you can make that argument for Carson, and I completely see where you're coming from. Reason why I have Cam in front of Carson is because no one in the NFL was asked to do more than Cam Newton in order to win games. Cam Newton is the LeBron James in terms of if he isn't at his A game, his team most likely doesn't go far. And they have to be on their A game in and game out, in order for their team to be successful.
He legit is the LeBron of the NFL. I love that comparison because he actually dunked on Falcons.
Yes, he did.
He got up there, and he put it down. That's a Sprite Slam can.
And, you can rattle off all the stats you want about Carson Wentz. He's doing more balls. He's been more accurate. He has more touchdowns.
And he's got a better team around him. I mean,
Cam Newton, his favorite target was traded. And he turned a guy who was probably going to be considered a bust at this point and revived Devin Funch's career. Christian McCaffrey is the perfect little utility knife that helps him out. But, you have an aging Jonathan Stewart who...
No, but he's been kicking up lately.
He is, but you know what, though? That's because the main guy that runs the ball in short yardage situations isn't Jonathan Stewart. It's Cam Newton. And, and the loss of... People forget, the loss of D'Angelo Williams definitely hurt Cam Newton. I know it was a few years now, but it's been an adjustment to having just Jonathan Stewart back there. They relied on that two-headed attack for so many years.
You can't replace D'Angelo Williams, but I think they got a new monster in Christian McCaffrey. This kid, party animal.
He has that lineage in his genes with Eddie McCaffrey being dad, so,
The kid's got the grit, the kid's got the biceps, the kid's got everything. He's got the walk, the talk. I think he's going to be a star in the league. I think a comparison would be Darren Sproles because they're small, but, Danny Woodhead. Like a better Danny Woodhead.
He's bigger than both of them physically. He's
like, what is he, 5'9"?
I don't even know how tall McCaffrey is, but he's physically more imposing than both of those guys. So I really like what I see. I think he can have a long career, and he does it right. He's a scat back. He doesn't fill a role. He's a guy that would have been successful back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where he's just... And he can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He could do a little bit of everything. So I really like Christian. I think... But
going back to Cam Newton, all right? He had the power move of the year, okay? Not many people... There's not many QBs I know that'll look Clay Matthews in the eyes and say, oh, you watch film? Clay Matthews says, yeah. He goes, really? That's
I got
cool.
something for you.
Watch this.
That was
throws it to
hilarious.
My man Christian McCaffrey on an angle route. It wasn't a wheel, it was an angle route, but still.
Well, it was a fake wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was absolutely hilarious. And let's also mention, Cam lost Greg Olsen.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still doing all this, which is why I put Cam ahead of Carson Wentz. And I almost put Cam at number 2. But the guy that's sitting at number 2, you can't not have him at number 2, period. He could be number 1. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers quarterback.
Sucks that he got hurt. The injury. It
sucks he got hurt. I don't think he's hurt now that he's on the IR. I think it's just a smart move. Put him on the IR, rest him up.
Open up a spot, let him rest.
And you get Hundley some more reps because you never know if this happens again. You get that kid more reps. He hasn't played awful.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, Aaron Rodgers. I think he's definitely the second best QB. If not. He's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL since he's taken the starting position. So he definitely sits at number 2. There's so much we could say. We could probably have a podcast about just how great Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah. You could have a podcast for each Hail Mary's thrown.
Yeah, and well, for each Hail Mary he's thrown, that's ridiculous that he's so good. Like, people think Hail Marys are all luck, and for most people, they are. Aaron Rodgers has an art to the way he does it. He knows
Oh,
exactly how
100%.
high he wants to arc
Mm-hmm.
the football. He
Mm-hmm.
talked about it. I think it was like a Sports Center Sports
Dude,
Science.
if you watch this guy before pre-games, he's throwing the ball in trash cans from the 50 into the end zone. He'll
Yeah,
put it where he wants it. He puts the arc he wants. The guy's like a like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, like the way he freaking probably
thinks.
measures
Yeah,
the angles, and
yeah, it's crazy.
not as smart as the guy, but I guess when it comes to throwing the ball, he found something
And
that
it's
works.
and it's also, his athleticism. I think, we talk about
Sneaky.
Newton and Wentz, who are both, known athletic dudes. You go back down the list. Russell Wilson's athletic. Andy Dalton has some athleticism.
Yeah.
Watson, Tyrod Taylor, all these guys. Aaron Rodgers is just as athletic as all those dudes.
Yeah, 100%. And he's got a mean handlebar mustache in the winter.
And he's got a fantastic handlebar mustache in the winter.
You look that guy in the eyes, and you get just a glance at that handlebar mustache. You know he's going to throw a 50-yard Hail Mary and win the game.
And that's, and speaking of winning games, our man sitting at number one, it probably hurts both of us to say it, both of us to admit it, but it's easy to admit.
Time break.
Mr. Tommy Terrific himself, New England Patriots quarterback. There's only so much left to say about the guy. We're Jet fans. We see him twice a year. The guy's just unbelievable. Every time you watch him and every time you think that he slows down, though, every time you think he slows down, he doesn't. He comes back and he'll be like, oh, he had a bad game. And then he comes back and throws 5 touchdowns.
He made Uggs fashionable for men.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone in this world who could do that besides maybe Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, he did. He made Uggs fashionable. And it's just, there's just something about Tom Brady. At the age of 40, you're not supposed to do, we're Jets fans. We talk all the time about how, the Patriots cheat and how they get calls and all this stuff that they get. And yeah, you know what? It may be true that they do get things, but I'll say 98% of the time is just Tom Brady being ridiculous.
Yeah, my dad always said this, and he says good things happen to good teams. So, and Tom Brady makes that team good, if not great.
And
He'll turn any receiver into a superstar, and we've seen that with Wes Welker, and then we've seen that with Julian Edelman.
And we yell about the certain plays. We yell about the tuck rule. We yell about, the Jesse James play from the Steelers game recently, which, we're all still salty about. But
Not a doubt in my mind that Tom Brady wouldn't have scored with the 23 seconds left if Jesse James scored.
And not even just scored, but it's like those are 2 plays. And maybe out of his, how many years has he been in the NFL now? Like 16, 15? Something insane that he's been there. We can count maybe 10 plays which we may have to actually go back and question that whether or not they got the benefit of the doubt. That's how many throws, how many plays.
And two of them are this year.
Well, 2 of them were this year, but but you just look at it in the length of his career. The guy has just been unbelievable. And you know what? How many teams can go from losing arguably the best tight end in the NFL, in Aaron Hernandez, who was the best? He was a Swiss Army knife. He played tight end, he played running back, he played receiver, he was a great blocker. Like, how many teams, don't get me wrong, Gronk is unbelievable. He's probably the best tight end we've ever seen. But at the time, Aaron Hernandez was the guy. Mm-hmm. How many teams can take losing that and still being the best team in the NFL year in and year out? The Patriots, because of Tom Brady.
And Bill Belichick.
But you know what,
Could you imagine if Tom Brady was on the Chiefs and Bill Belichick was the coach of the Chiefs? Listen, Andy Reid's a great coach, but could you imagine if he had Tyreek Hill, freaking Kareem Hunt,
Could you imagine if Belichick didn't resign for the Jets on a napkin in an airport?
Oh. Now I got a headache. We gotta end that.
Yeah, we definitely do. But yeah, Tom Terrific. He's the number one, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I guarantee no one's surprised about that. But I can also guarantee that there were a few surprises in this list.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed doing this with you, Joe.
It was fun.
An absolute.
I hope I kept the people entertained. I hope everyone enjoyed this.
I think you did. I think people enjoy this. Is a special that not many podcasts are doing right now. It's the middle of the season, but we had a little fun with it. We did something different. So I just want to thank you for coming on, Joe. What's your Twitter handle so the people can go find you?
At Joey Sizz. So no spaces, just JoeySizz. That's also for my Instagram.
And as for us here at Sports Opinions, you can go follow us on Twitter at SportsOpinion30, and you can follow me, Alex Cuesta, at AQuestaNBN. I just want to thank everyone again for listening. This was your Sports Opinions podcast. Good night.
Yep, thanks for having me.